It's good to be here. I'm thankful for all the realities of what is in day-to-day life. There are those things that we take for granted. The cycles of time, the sun and the moon and the earth. And these things don't happen haphazardly. They happen by reason of things that were created a long time ago for certain reasons. These reasons extend into the star systems, extend into mankind in body and mind and heart, extend into consciousness itself. These reasons extended far before the earth was created. And there are things that go on in our solar system and the galaxy which far outdate the world of mankind's consciousness. Man's consciousness only has a certain amount of memory. This memory, it seems, is very short. But before mankind's memory existed, before man was created as a creature, there was that which was eternal and is eternal, and that which extends far beyond the stars, far beyond the planetary system, and all the things that go on Earth. And what we have on Earth is a very small structure. And we think of day-to-day life here as being also important. But in the grand cosmic scheme of things, it's just one tiny little planet in one small little solar system, in one part of a galaxy, 30,000 light years from the center of the galaxy. It's a part out there. And the part itself is one of moving from one sphere to the next, one place of consciousness to the next. And planets are conscious living things, not by reason of the soil or the earth, but by reason of the beings that inhabit and create it. They're created to move from planets to suns, to radiant orbs in the sky, to take their place among the stars. So also is our solar system, starting with the sun, starting with one point of centering that provides the light, that provides the point of orientation for the solar system. By far it's the largest sphere in this part of our solar system. But we have other parts that are growing in stature. Jupiter and other large gaseous planets, all making their evolution to become suns, to become radiant balls of light. Again, not by reason of just being suns, but by reason of the beings that live there, that live on Jupiter, that live on each planet. Our solar system is made up of stars and planets, and binary stars and dwarf stars and soon-to-be stars. In a sense, the Earth itself is a soon-to-be star. And that time frame may take another 900,000 years. But in 900,000 years, the planet Earth will take its place as a star among other stars. And this is the natural progression of life, natural progression of the beings, the natural progression of the beings that are here on Earth, to create a star, to make a place of radiant light among all the stars in the solar system and the galaxy. And to do this, each one needs to take their own responsibility to create the star substance into light. Substance is what we transmute. We change it by consciousness. Not just in one life. One life is 70 is far too small. If we think of this life as being the whole thing, we'll miss the opportunity to see the multi-incarnations that we live in. The place where lifetime after lifetime we have a chance to make this into a radiant place. It doesn't start out as a radiant place. It started out as a nebula. In the nebula, the particles were drawn together. What drew them together were the beings. That started a vortex. It started drawing things to a point of centering. As that point of centering started moving, more beings joined in till we got the full configuration of beings that make up the sun beings for Earth. These sun beings joined together for one holy sacred purpose: to create a sun. And through the 300,000 years that we've had so far, from the point of being a nebula to now, may be disputed by science, but it matters not. The reality is, in that 300,000 years, we've gotten to about a quarter way to where the Earth will be, and where the substance is released into light. In a smaller way, we could see how this can happen in day-to-day life, even in human terms of 80 to 100 years. And there's the chance to take a little bit of substance that's joined by the father and the mother, and is creating a child, creates a fetus, a couple of cells, but then the being comes in, and the fetus is created, and then the baby is born. And after that, it's a matter of the baby creating the world around, creating a small little star system. Initially, the baby thinks that it's the center of the universe, and then it realizes that it's actually revolving in a star system itself. It's moving around its parents and all the operation of what its parents do. And then it realizes that the parents themselves are moving around another star system and another. The family of what we're born into, we're also star systems. Although sometimes it's not always apparent how the structure of these small star systems exist. We don't think of them in those terms. As we grow up, and that baby grows into wanting to create its own star system. It's the natural progression of things. It knows deep down that it wants to be a sun. It knows deep down that it wants that freedom of expression of being radiant light. And so it seeks the answer to how it can be radiant. But before it can be radiant on its own, it needs to find orientation in radiance itself. It needs to find a sun that it can orient around and learn from. Not even so much learn, but take on the expression that the sun gives off, which is just to shine radiant light. And the earth itself, it revolves around the sun in much the same way. Not the earth itself, but the beings on earth, learning what it is to orient around the sun. Because the earth itself is just material for use by the sun beings that live here on earth, to transmute here. So it's up to the beings to orient around the sun that shines for us, to learn the same mechanism of just shining the light, of changing substance into radiant light. That happens by reason of day-to-day life. Every day we're given the opportunity to shine radiant light. When we think of the sun, there's some days when it's cloudy and it doesn't appear like it's very bright at all. But those clouds are just thin, very, very thin layers that may seem to obstruct the radiant light of the sun, but they can't really do it. They're rays that go beyond the level of the ability of clouds to hide. And those rays still reach the earth. Same with ourselves as sun beings. There comes a realization that we're not doing it for certain reasons. We're just shining the light. Each one has the opportunity in day-to-day life to shine the light. But it takes learning and remembering that there's a chance to do that. So first there's a place of orientation. And it may seem like there's not a whole lot of light. If we look at Jupiter, we think of it as a planet out there in space 500 million miles from us. In fact, Jupiter is probably at the stage of being a brown dwarf, or close to the point where it transmutes into being a full star itself. It may not seem to be giving off a lot of light, but it gives off a lot of radiation. And we're scared of radiation. We're afraid of nuclear radiation. We're afraid of all sorts of radiation. But our natural substance is that of radiation. We radiate not just light, but rays. That may seem to be harmful. And some people are afraid of light, some people are afraid of radiation. Certainly, it's one of those things that's not fully understood. The radiation from Jupiter extends well past the ability of the planets and the stars around to recognize it as just a ball of radiant light. They're rays, invisible rays sent out by the radiant beings that are the Jupiter radiant sun beings that have joined together many hundreds of thousands of years ago, probably close to 1.2 million years ago, to create a sun there. And they in turn are creating other planets and suns and activating other planets around them, providing the light for a small little solar system of their own. They will in turn be the moons of Jupiter turning into planets and revolving around their own sun. And Jupiter as a sun will revolve around the sun that we have in space here, and the solar system that we have together with these Jupiter beings, the Jupiter sun beings, just as much as they have a relationship with the Earth sun beings, and the Venus sun beings, and the Mars sun beings, and all the other planetary sun beings that are creating a sun. We're here to create suns, radiant suns of light, where the light just shines into the universe around. It transmutes substance. People are afraid of substance, and in lifetimes they get afraid of some substance and they encourage other substance. They learn about substance, maybe minerals, maybe other things. But minerals themselves are just waiting for their light to be released by the sunbeams. All minerals, all things have the opportunity to release light. We are caught up in a world which tends towards wanting to worship certain minerals and ignore other minerals. So people look for the meaning of life through the food that they eat. But it's much more than that. The food becomes radiant by reason of those who consume it, that are able to transmute whatever that food is, no matter what the quality or quantity or mass of it, into radiant light. You can get someone who is around the world somewhere, in some part of some country that's very poor, taking in very poor quality food, and still they can transmute it much more successfully than some people in some of the richer countries who don't know how to, or who don't transmute food into light. And the quality of the food isn't the issue. It's the consciousness of those who take the food in. Because people take the food in and they waste it on not creating and releasing the radiant light of the food, no matter what it is. So people long for just one type of food. They long for certain types of substance. And here we think of in North America that we have very good quality food. And there are those who search for one or the other type. But they miss out on opportunities sometimes to see that the food itself doesn't even matter. It's not about the food. It's about what comes out once something passes through the star system of our bodies. Because when the food goes in, whether it's absorbed or not absorbed, there's a process that's going on in the absorption. And in the absorption, even if the body absorbs the food, the being, the human, may not be adequately releasing that food in radiant light. So it's not the food. Food is what goes in. The food has a chance to be transmuted, has a chance to become part of the star system of the being. But there are certainly people, as has been evidenced all through civilization, who didn't have very much food, who still released the light. You can see from ones like Buddha and others that it wasn't about the food that they lived on. They were able to still release the light, still create places of being within themselves and understanding the relationship between themselves and all the substance. In hundreds of thousands of years from now, food will take on a very different quality for humans. It'll be one of essence. Mankind's body system itself will change, so that it doesn't require food to be eaten the way that we conceive of food right now. People at that time will live on essence, like the essence of a rose, or essence of a flower, or an iris, of all the substance that's just essence. As we learn how to live in essence, we can release different vibratory patterns than we can release now. So now we consume food. That's certainly only a very small part of what we are here to do. To some, consuming food is the all powerful thing in their lives. But food is a very small thing in comparison to what is the opportunity. The opportunity is to be radiant no matter what the food, in spite of all the food, in spite of radiation, in spite of pollutants, in spite of all the things that go on. There's still the chance to be radiant beings. And this extends far beyond day-to-day life. Memory of people is contained to a large extent in what they feel and experience in the life form that is termed as human life, 80 to 100 years or thereabouts. But go beyond that for a moment. And pass by this particular lifetime. Go before and after it and realize the extent of life that you have. Past this form, past the food, past the very basics that you think of as being important. Clothing and beauty and all of the relationships that exist. These all are transitory. They'll be here and then they'll be gone. It's not about any of them as being the thing. The thing that each one has is life itself. Beyond just this 80. Man misses the opportunity by thinking of this life as being all important. And forgets eternal life. Forgets life beyond these forms. Life beyond these particular capacities and things that go on. Particular situations, the circumstances, the depth of all that it experiences. Man is so caught up in the short lifetime that it misses out on what's really going on. We've all had a chance by now to experience or know someone who has passed away, so to speak. And people call it passing away because they don't understand the process of multi-incarnation. They don't understand the process whereby form no longer can contain the spirit. And so spirit moves to a new form, creating a new form that can be inhabited. Taking that form itself to the highest level that it can until it outgrows the form of that form, and then lets go of that and takes all the substance into a new form and a new form through thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, in millions of years, in millions of lifetimes. The experiences are far beyond just the experience of 80. Far beyond what one looks like. Far beyond what one feels in any particular point in the movement of the soul from one life to another. Think of all the things that you experience in this life. All the things that you think are so important in your life. The food, the relationships, the troubles, the situations, the challenges. All of it, just one tiny little blip in eternity. Such a small little thing, yet people focus their whole attention on that small little thing and miss what needs to be focused on. Releasing radiant light, transmuting the very substance around, transmuting all substance, no matter what substance it is. The sun doesn't think of things that it takes in, and the sun isn't afraid of things that it takes in. Neither is Jupiter or other star systems, planets and binary stars, and dwarf stars, and brown dwarfs, and white dwarfs, and all the other suns. They're not afraid of what they take in. We need to go beyond being afraid of what comes at us. Being unafraid in that sense of whatever it is that is attracted to join up. The sun, day after day, just as much as the earth, day after day, absorbs substance, matter, particles from space, comets, asteroids, all sorts of things crashing towards the sun. But the sun beings live in an impenetrable place. None of those things can get to them. They all transmute as they come in within the range of their atmosphere. So also must each one learn to transmute whatever comes within the range of their atmosphere. So also does the earth learn how to transmute everything that comes within the earth's range of atmosphere. We don't have to be concerned. Man is concerned about what comes within their range. Maybe some particles that are floating around in space that come from other people or other things or situations around them. But when one lives in radiant light, the more one transmutes, the more one masters transmutation of substance, then it doesn't matter what comes within your atmosphere, within the atmosphere which you live in. It'll all, as it comes in, be transmuted. As you learn how to be the master in the art of transmutation of substance, then viruses and anything else that come in, they'll just become part of the sun being that you are. And they'll be absorbed and transmuted or ejected, just as much as if a comet crashes into the sun, it's absorbed and transmuted, and the substance of it has to go through the process where it becomes part of the sun. We live in a world where mankind is afraid of certain things. And yet, everything we take in, everything that's attracted to what we call our forms, we take in. If we go out into the world, there are viruses, apparently, that people are afraid of. And they take in medicine to combat these viruses. But they only take the medicines and the things because they haven't learned how to transmute even the viruses into part of their body and consume them in the blazing fire that their bodies are. The blazing fire that they are as sun beings. Same with any minerals. The mineral comes in when we take it in, and if it has the chance, it gets burned up in the fire of our body. But everything that becomes part of our body is now burning in the fire. Even the viruses, even the minerals, even all the molecules. So it doesn't matter in that sense what comes in. It comes in and it'll be burned off. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Because you think that Jupiter thinks, oh, we're not radiant enough, we're not shining enough. It doesn't matter. Comets and asteroids and different particles flood into Jupiter all the time. It has to go through the atmosphere to deeper and deeper levels of Jupiter, whereby it's transmuted. When we look at something like Jupiter, it has an atmosphere, and that atmosphere is liquid and molten. Liquid gas. And all the particles have to go through that emergence of liquid gas with radiance that's emerging from the core, from the center, from the beings of Jupiter. They're radiating out. It's such incredible as far as mankind and Earth's level of perception, that they attract all sorts of things from the universe around. Everything's gravitationally being drawn, and they're not afraid of any of it. They're not afraid of nuclear explosions or fusion or anything like that, or nuclear bombs or radiation of particles. No, because it all transmutes. In time, man will go past being afraid of these things. In time, each one goes past being afraid of the particles around them that are being attracted to them. Sometimes the particles make the person, the being, doesn't get afraid, but the human part gets afraid of the particles that are being attracted. It translates the particles into thought. So it thinks certain thoughts are coming at it, and it's afraid of those thoughts. But the being part is not afraid of the thoughts. Sometimes it can look like or feel like feelings. And the human is afraid of the feelings that are coming. But the being's not afraid of the feelings. The being transmutes the thoughts, the being transmutes the feelings. Doesn't matter. We're here to draw stuff in and transmute it. And we're not here to say, oh, we don't want those particles, or don't like those particles, or don't want those feelings or those thoughts, or no, we transmute it. Whatever comes in gets a chance to change. Who's responsible for the change? Well, the being is. If the identity is with the being, then one knows what one's doing when thoughts and particles of one form or another come at you. Feelings, thoughts, attitudes, all the different things. Then one's just looking at it as part of the process whereby whatever comes in has to be dealt with in a way where it gets burned off. There are cycles, and those cycles involve force. And the first part of the force is truth. We call it water. And the truth is that nothing can affect the being. The being affects everything else. Who are you in all of it? If the identity is human, then yes, the identity is going to answer, I'm human. But if the identity is being, then the identity is going to answer, I am being. And that's the truth. When you know the truth, when you identify with the truth, then you know that it doesn't matter what comes in. The truth is, all of it will be transmuted. Doesn't matter how many lifetimes go on, or who comes into one particular lifetime, or who goes out of one particular lifetime. It doesn't matter. When it's here to be worked with. When whatever substance is around us, that's the substance that's being attracted to be part of a sun system. The planets don't say, well, I don't want to be part of this sun system. They don't have a choice. They're part of what was attracted to be around this particular sun. They've gravitated, they found their place of orbit around the sun, and realized that that's where they love to be, around the sun. They don't object and say, oh, I want to be around another sun. Can't do it. Try as it might, there's no planet that can take itself out of the system. There are laws that govern it. And there are larger laws than this solar system also. But there are other stars in our solar system. We think of there being this being a binary system, but it's much more than just binary. It's a multiple star system. It's just it hasn't been fully realized yet. But Jupiter will become a star, and Neptune, and Saturn, and Earth eventually, and the other planets. It's a whole star system, multiple stars, expanding the star system of this galaxy, so that there are more and more stars being born all the time. If one looks in the 100 billion stars of the Milky Way galaxy, every day there are new stars being born. Every day. In the galaxy. They're in the planets that are in the galaxy that every day transmute into stars. But stars in themselves, the star beings of the particular stars, they're not content to just have their star and then stay like that forever. They keep transmuting into bigger and bigger and larger stars, where they attract more and radiate more, and then they go through an evolution where they throw off all the matter that they can and get more condensed and become neutron stars. And this evolution of stars, it doesn't stop with creating a star. It's just the beginning. It doesn't stop in this life with just being a nice person or living a nice, comfortable life. It's just the beginning. Most people forget that they're star beings. imbued with the same stuff of the stars. They don't remember that they're star beings. They've forgotten. They hope that there are some aliens maybe that'll come and save the earth. What a ridiculous notion. People believe in all sorts of things, or maybe the government or the politicians or something out there is going to save them from something or make them happy or whatever. No. The happiness, the contentment, the meaning of life doesn't come from things outside. Although there may be things outside. There are things like the earth and the moon and the other planets that revolve around our star, soul. And certainly the star beings on our sun recognize that there are those other planetary star beings around, and they send radiant blessing to each of them. So each planet in turn is receiving a radiant blessing from the sun and from each other. They're receiving radiant blessings from the other planets as they transmute and change. We're receiving here on Earth radiant blessings not only from the sun, but from Jupiter and Mars and Venus and other. We're all in this together in that way. And one might look at it and think, what are we afraid of? Are we afraid of the government? Are we afraid of the law? Are we afraid of some of the things that go on Earth? None of it will last. There's nothing that it can do to outshine you or outlast you, the being that you are. It'll come and it'll go in a blip. None of it lasts. All the people, all the great people that one thinks of in recorded civilization of 5,000, 6,000 years of recorded civilization, it'll pass away, it'll be a blip. It won't even be remembered. No, none of it will be remembered. In time, it all passes away, and none of it makes any difference. No lifetime, no great person here on Earth matters in that sense. They only mattered when they came and they shined the light, and the people and the beings that were around received it or not. And if they didn't shine the light, if they were some sort of empire or politician or some sort of thing that was trying to control it all, they'll pass away, and their memory will pass away sooner than one can say eternity. And same with these particular lives. They'll pass away. If the importance is in the particular life, or the particular food, or the particular dress, or how we look, or what others think about us, all of that will pass away. And we'll go beyond all of the concern in that regard. Transmute that so that that's not even of concern. So when those thoughts of trying to impress somebody else, or trying to be impressive in some way, let that even pass away. Go past the point of maintaining all those things that you thought were so important. Everything that you thought was important. Find the truth. You are a sun being. Much more than any beauty, physically speaking, which is just transitory. It's a blip. That's why people get old, because the sun being sees that it can stay young. The sun being is eternally young, don't get me wrong. But it sees that people get so caught up in beauty, so caught up in the maintenance of beauty and youth. But then as the beauty fades, as the human gets to the point of 80, 90 years old, it sees that its beauty has faded. And it has to shift its identity from just being caught up in the beauty, outer beauty, into inner beauty itself. We don't have to wait for 80, 90 years to release inner beauty. And the depth of depravity on earth is that people are caught up on and with outer beauty. They're caught up with the outer show of things. But what's the inner beauty? What's the inner relationship we have with each other? What's the inner pattern that we have as friends, as beings, being to being between us? Not just with each other, but certainly we're in a particular configuration of star system between ourselves. There are small star systems, and we may have a very small star system here. But it doesn't matter how small the star system is, because even the smallest star system can radiate and become little stars. Little stars can be released. Little stars that can release radiant light into the universe. The only thing that's encouraged with every single star system, no matter how small, no matter how large, is to release the star being that you are. Release now all the substance of star system, of star being that you are. It doesn't matter how small a star system it is. Do you think our sun thinks, oh, we're such a small star system in this Milky Way galaxy? It doesn't matter, it's doing its thing. And the sun is a very small star. You think Jupiter, at the size that it is, maybe 40, 50,000 miles across, is thinking, oh, we're such a small star? No, it's not thinking that. The star beings on Jupiter are thinking, we're going to shine no matter how big we are. You think the beings on Earth, the star beings, are thinking, oh, this is such a small planet, look at all the things going on. No, because we all know that everything will pass away here. There's not one civilization, there's not one trace of any part of this civilization that will last. Or any other civilization. Because in time it'll just be star substance. It'll be a nuclear fusion and furnace that'll burn up everything. Burn up even buildings itself will be just radiant light. In time, the walls of the structures of our homes on earth will just be radiant light walls. Pillars of light, walls of light through which we shine. Beauty and all the things of youth and beauty are an illusion. The illusion of day-to-day life. Accept the illusion for what it is, and you'll accept yourself as being a star being much more easily than if you're caught up with the illusion. There are people caught up with the illusion and trying to maintain the illusion. They have all sorts of things that they do to keep the beauty of youth. The culture in the world, to some extent, has been a culture that's been caught up with beauty or youth. And yet every single culture, every single person on earth comes to the same conclusion. Beauty is transitory. Youth is transitory. And we wouldn't have it another way. There's not one moment that I would conceive of that I would want to go back to. I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure that there are a lot of people who wouldn't want to go back to their childhood. No. Not if it means forgetting all the things that one's gone through that have brought us to the point of realization that we are star beings. There are a lot of people who don't outwardly realize they're stars, that they're star beings, that we're born to shine as radiant stars, individually and collectively. Collectively, we're transmuting this wonderful planet of substance that we drew together. Together we all drew all the substance of the nebula here into one ball, into one orb, imbuing everything with life around us. We bless it, with life force. We shine it and it grows. There's not one plant around, there's not one creature around that isn't living off the life force of the sun beings that are here on earth. Not one. They all exist because of the sun beings that are incarnate in human forms on earth. All of them. They only have meaning by reason of the fact that they're existing and being given life by reason of the sun beings that created this earth. That will create this earth into a sun. Yeah, we've got 900,000 years, but it'll go so fast, it'll make every single lifetime's head spin. Blip. As humans, we sometimes laugh at those little flies that have one day of existence. We think, oh, they're born and live their whole existence in one day from the perception of human life. How do you think human life looks like to a star being? One day. Not even. But in that one day, that fly does a lot of different things. It lives, it reproduces, it eats, it consumes, it transmutes, and it passes away. It fulfills its function beautifully. Same also with humans. In the 410 years that the human lives, it's born, it consumes, it grows, it feeds, it reproduces, goes through its process, and then it passes away. Beautiful. One little tiny blip of life. Beautiful. From the perception of the human, it goes through all sorts of stuff. Relationships and challenges and situations. You think those little flies that live 24 hours don't go through those things? They're all caught up with the relationships and trying to reproduce and challenges of this and that and everything else. Same thing. Same thing. Humanity is just a blip. Star beings, the sun beings are the eternal. When you look at yourself in the mirror and see the sun being shining through the lattice of the human form, shining through the lattice of the mind and the thoughts and the feelings and all the challenges that lattice creates for shining forth of that which is behind the lattice of life. If you had a deck over here and had some lattice, pretty soon everything would grow up around it and plants and everything, and you wouldn't be able to see through it. You can see all the stuff because it becomes immediately aware. Become aware of the leaves and the woodwork of the lattice and the plants, and maybe if it's got grapes. And if one left it long enough, it would get so overgrown that one couldn't see through it at all. Same with human life. Sometimes people's human life becomes so overgrown that they don't see through it at all. That the being can't be seen. I know the beings are there. We know that they're there. Just can't see them through the lattice. Through the form, through the thoughts, through the feelings that are all built up around, all trying to hide the being. Because the identity is caught up in the lattice. But as one does get older, as one does get wiser, so to speak, one does start to see beyond the lattice of people. Those things that the human form try to cover up with beauty and other things. Not covering up anything. The truth is true, regardless of an outer form of flesh. And the opportunity is to recognize each other as sunbeams. But to recognize each other as sunbeams, we need to peel away some of the lattice of our life. Some of the things that are so caught up in day-to-day life that we forget because we're caught up in the form of things. We forget that which is truly important. And mankind to a large extent has forgotten. That's alright. It doesn't matter if mankind will pass away. The eternal beings, the sunbeings, they don't pass away. Do you think it makes any difference to the sunbeings whether in one life or 100 lives anything's caught up like this? No. We were here before the humans were even created. We were here before this earth was even created. We will be here long past the point when humanity exists in the form that it exists. Long past the point when this earth will cease to exist as a planet. Such is the nature of being. And when one can attune and comprehend and go beyond the concern of it, but at the same time there is that which we can do as radiant beings in this very instant of eternity. And remember who you are. That's the first part, water. Release the water of truth of who you are. Into the earth of truth, into the air of truth. So after the water comes the spirit of truth of who you are. In the earth of truth, your form, recognizing that your form, in form you are a sunbeam, far beyond, far greater than all the things of challenge of the earth. And then recognize yourself as the fire. One with the fire. That transmutes all of it. And be in the process. And the Creator of all of this has given you a process to be in. As much as everybody else can't get away from it. No being wants to get away from it. Every being under all the stars and in all of the universes and all worship and are thankful to the Creator for the process of creating sun after sun after sun, being after being after being, activating substance day after day after day. So we activate substance. We create things. We form things. We shape things. And in the doing of the things, we activate substance of whatever we're doing. We activate substance of wood when we do woodwork. We activate substance of food when we do food work. We activate substance of all the gardens when we do gardening work. We activate substance of every single thing can be activated substance, transmuted substance. When it's done from the perspective and the perception of who is doing it. Who are you? You're the sunbeam that's doing it. Remember who you are. Know in thyself. And do everything from the identity of self, the truth of self. Not the small self. That's the human ego and human identity self. Do it from the large self, the sun-being self. And we're here to sun, to create a sun. And we're here in day-to-day life to shine and radiant light into the world. And these forms, no matter what they look like, they don't stop us. The forms, no matter what they go through, they don't stop us. The environment, no matter what's going on, it doesn't stop us. The minerals or the lack of minerals, or the substance or the lack of substance in one way or another, or the beauty or the lack of beauty, or the relationships or the lack of relationships, they don't stop us. Relationships also are transitory. They come and they go. The first relationship to honor is the relationship of the sun being to the human. When the human recognizes that it's part and parcel, one with the sun being, and then it honors that relationship in whatever it's doing, no matter who it's doing it with. Or who, even if it's not doing it with anybody else, for that matter. Because the human is already having a relationship with the sun being, honoring day after day whatever the sun being is doing, recognizing that even as the days are transitory and the experiences are transitory, the relationship with the sun being has an opportunity to go far beyond all the transitory experiences, far beyond this life. The human has a chance to join, to merge, to become part and one with the sun being. And so that each one releases the sun being within. Not just identifies, but burns through the lattice of consciousness of human's existence. Burns through the day-to-day life, so that no matter what comes near you, it gets burned. It burns in the fire of your awareness of the sun being within you, that you are. You are a sun being, and everything that comes to you gets consumed, gets burned, gets transmuted into sun substance. So do this in day-to-day life. Transmute everything, not for a reason, not for a reward, not for any other reason, other than to live at one with the sun being that is you, that is all-powerful, that is eternal. And then you'll see the true beauty, the true eternally young sun being. And then you'll feel the nature of the eternal sun being that is worth just merging into oneness with, no matter what is going on. And the sun being can shine forth, can reveal itself to you and around you. And one day you'll notice that the human part doesn't even think of itself as human anymore. Doesn't even think of itself as separate. Doesn't even have any sense of a difference of identity. Because it's merged, it's become, as with this substance that you eat as food, becomes one. It's good to be here. And in the small star system that we have, recognizing that the sun is the sun, but the sun is encouraging all the other planets to transmute into suns. And in time, the sun knows that each planet will change into a sun, will transmute completely into a sun of its own. It's unstoppable. It's inevitable. How thankful I am for the process that was created by the Creator to allow all of this to occur, lifetime after lifetime, through eternity, in all of the galaxies. The same process. The release of light. It's good to be here.